Hey guys, what's up? I'm Ethan. Welcome back to Ethan Lemmer Podcast Show, ELPS for short. Today we're going to be breaking down the NFC draft grades. All of our analysts here, we graded it, and we're going to average them out and see how each team did. Today we have Rishi,
Hey guys, what's up?
Ryan, George,
What's up, guys?
Luke,
Hi.
and Mark.
What's up?
All right, let's jump right into this. As you guys saw last time we did the ASC, it's the same exact thing. We're going to see all of our grades, the average score, and we're going to talk about it for a bit and what happened. Actually, before we really jump into it, we're going to talk about our next episode. It's going to be – I'm really excited about it. We're going to have a bunch of different segments, and I think you guys will be happy with it. All right, let's jump onto it. New York Giants, first team. We gave it a B. Ryan, you gave it an A. What's that about? Oh, well, you're a homer.
I'm biased.
You still gave it an A.
I'm biased.
All right.
Well, I
Biased.
believe that they addressed all their needs except possibly wide receiver, which wasn't a big need. They got offensive tackles.
Sure, that wasn't a big need. What wide receivers do they have?
Slayton.
They've Sterling Shepard.
Golden
That's
Tate,
it.
Darius Slayton.
I mean, next thing you know,
Evan
Golden
Ingram.
Tate's going to be on some drugs, so it doesn't matter.
Whatever. But they
Yeah.
could have gotten a wide
Saquon Barkley
receiver.
is the Giants' best wide receiver. Prove
Exactly.
me
That's so true.
wrong.
I mean, so
Yeah,
let me
well-
revise my grade a little bit here.
Okay.
I'm going to revise it to a C plus B minus because
Okay.
they did draft Xavier McKinney, which I think was a really good pick. I'm surprised he fell that far, but like Luke said, their best wide receiver is Saquon Barkley. They should have addressed the wide receiver here.
Definitely.
Another thing I
Especially
didn't
this
like
deep.
about this, not drafting any secondary help like from cornerbacks until like the 7th round in Chris Williamson.
Mhm.
They got
This
McKinney
draft could have
in
been.
the second round.
They
got
really
Dar-
needed cornerback
McKinney.
help though. Who's their number one receiver? Cornerback right now.
They have
Janoris
Jenkins.
Jenkins.
They got Holmes in the 4th round.
Yeah,
From
those are
UCLA.
good.
On the Saints.
Still, it was not quite early enough. I understand you get Matt Pert, who I think is a great player, but you just can't pass up on your other needs here.
Their
right,
biggest
let's
need
go to the
was
next team.
offensive tackle, and they addressed it.
All right, let's go to the next team. Dallas Cowboys. Really, I thought it was a really good draft for them here. They got their needs, wide receiver, really shored up the secondary, got a bunch of defense, offensive line help as well. I think this is going to be a bold prediction from me. I think they're going to be the team to beat next year in the NFC. They're a strong team on offense. They've got a strong defense. Maybe the 49ers that are better than them, but other than that, there's nobody else there.
But they have Mike McCarthy, horrible head coach, can't interact with the players.
Better than Jason Garrett. You're wrong. You're wrong. Mike McCarthy is a good coach, and he's going to lead them to the playoffs, if not more than that.
I mean,
Well,
obviously,
speaking
you
about
never
remember
know
here
with the
that Ethan
Cowboys.
is the
You never know
Ethan
with
is
the
the-
Cowboys.
That's true.
Ethan is the only one here that doesn't like an NFC East team. So
That's true. That's
Every-
true.
No, I don't like
Everybody
an
else-
NFC.
and Rishi likes the Browns,
And George.
but
I like the
everybody
Eagles
else
too, but,
likes
know.
either the Eagles or the Giants. So we all don't like the Cowboys here.
One
Yeah,
thing I
we're
don't
all
Kind of
an A.
slightly biased.
Yeah, this is
One thing I don't understand is why they took a QB in the 5th round when they could have went with something that actually improved their team instead of getting a QB. I understand you want
They
the
took a
leverage.
QB in the 7th.
Yeah,
They took a QB in the 7th.
I think that's an
Oh.
okay pick.
All right, let's go to the next team then. Redskins. They've had a really tough couple of years, but Ryan gave them a C. We all gave them a B. What's that about, Ryan? C. Really.
They only had 8 picks, I believe, and
Yeah.
just not getting enough players to address their needs was really a problem. They have been wanting
had
a
9
tight end.
picks.
9, yeah.
Yeah.
They have
But-
a tight end. They need a tight end that doesn't get in every year, like Jordan
Yeah.
Reed does.
Like Cole Kmet could have been that guy.
Yeah,
Maybe
Cole
if they-
Kmet.
George, you give him an A. What's that?
Well,
Why?
first of all, you go out and get the best overall prospect in Chase Young. And then in the second round or the third round, you go with Antonio Gibson. This man is a beast, wide receiver, running back hybrid who will do anything that the offense can imagine for you. He's going to be this hybrid player going along with this new receiver in Antonio Gandy Golden. Just by looking at his draft profile, you'll know he's going to be better in the NFL than he was in college because of how quick he learns things and how electric and fast he will be for this offense. I think their D-line is going to be best.
This is not an A draft. This is not an A draft.
I think it's an A draft.
Dwayne Haskins probably isn't your guy. I don't think he's good enough to be a starter in the NFL. Second of all, I've said many times that
I don't think we've seen enough of Dwayne Haskins to say that.
Yes, I agree. And you shore up your two in the third round. You have a revamped offense right now. You get the O-line help, and then you shore up the middle of your defense in the Khalil Hudson, which I think will pan out to be one of the great players.
Who's the Redskins' best wide receiver right now? Tell me.
Terry McLaurin. And right now, guess who they added?
He's like maybe a second. He's a second wide receiver. They don't have a true number one.
They're going to find the true number one in Gandy Golden. This guy is electric, I tell you.
He's not your
Watch some of his
number one
tape.
receiver.
He's going to be fast. He's what the modern NFL is right now. He's a definition of the type of player you need to stretch the defense and get the yardage that you want.
Ryan, you gave
some good discussion here.
What's wrong with
But we're going to have to
Washington?
move on. Some really good discussion here about the Redskins. Let's move on now. The Eagles. All right. Now we get to the fun stuff. D-A-B-F-D-B. C plus average. Rishi, you gave them an A, a freaking A.
There's no way
How could
this
you
was
do
a
that?
draft.
How did
so
you
first of
possibly
all,
do that?
They needed a wide receiver. They went out and got a wide
Yeah,
receiver.
not him.
Jalen. Okay, so people are hating on this Jalen Rager pick.
I am. It's a reach.
I mean,
It's a
obviously,
reach. They could have
it's not a
taken
reach.
John.
He had a first.
Yes, it is.
It's okay. It's a reach, but it's not that big of a reach. Okay, like they have Alshon Jeffrey, which is your jump ball type of guy, and you add speed with Jalen Rager, and then you later trade for Marquise Goodwin. I mean,
They don't need
obviously
speed,
Justin.
though. They need somebody who can catch.
They need speed. They need
catch
speed.
trouble.
Yeah,
this is what they're trying to do here.
But they need somebody who can catch the ball. And
they need people that can go beat. They need vertical threats that could beat the weak corners in the NFC East Division.
Okay, we're talking about wide receiver. Let's focus on the second pick, Jalen Hurts.
Everyone's hating on this pick, but this is a good pick. Good
Hold on,
pick.
Rishi. Ryan, let's hear from you about Jalen Hurts. What do you think about this one?
Well, it doesn't really make sense, except Carson Wentz does get hurt quite a bit, too much almost, so I guess he's a backup, but this is going to cause controversy with Wentz, and it's just going to tear apart the team.
I agree. Carson Wentz is their franchise quarterback. He's good. He does get injured, but when he's in there, he plays some solid downs. And it's like they wanted to upset their franchise quarterback. You know, we'll get into that later when we go to another team, but this was just not a smart pick from them. Jalen Hurts this early when there are so many good players on the board, it just doesn't make sense for me.
Let me talk about this a little bit more. No, wait. Let me add my 2 cents. So Jalen Hurts, I agree. Those first 2 picks were not the best picks, but then they go out and have one of the strongest day 2 and day 3s in the entire draft. You get 2 of the most underrated O linemen inside the draft in Prince Tega Wanago and Dak Driscoll, who I really liked going into the draft. Jalen Hurts, it may not be the pick that the team right now needs, and that's the reason why they got a B, except he might pan out for the future, and you never know how Jalen Rager is going to do with an actual good quarterback.
Yeah, and
another thing
on the Jalen Hurts pick, I think it's definitely not like an amazing pick with the talent that was still on the board, but it's not a horrible pick because obviously Wentz gets injured like every year, and you need that backup that could get the job done. Like Josh McCown wouldn't be able to do the job. Nate Sudfeld wouldn't be able to do the job. So I think Jalen Hurts. It would maybe a little. It was probably a little bit of a reach, but I think it was still a good pick.
According
let's
to your
move on.
grade, they have one of the top 5 drafts.
Yeah, let's move on now. NFC North. All right, let's get into this. Packers, worst pick. This is, if correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, but this is our worst graded. Am I wrong? Am I right?
I believe it is.
Luke,
George,
you gave him
might
a
as well
C.
go.
That's our highest picks. It's not that high, but it's still average. Why do you think this draft was average for them, Luke?
I feel as if they only had one large mess up, and don't get me wrong, it was a pretty big mess up with their first pick of Jordan Love. It's not really what the team needs right now. They need wide receivers to help Aaron Rodgers, and I think they would have better used their first overall pick on a wide receiver. Although, looking ahead to the future, when Aaron Rodgers is done playing after Jordan Love has had a few years underneath him, Jordan Love will be an absolutely amazing quarterback for the Packers. So there's that to think about.
Opposite end of the spectrum. Let's go. George, what do you have
As a Packers fan, I think the Jordan Love move, I slept on this a little bit. The Jordan Love move was actually not the worst thing that they could have done. But going from day 2 and day 3, that's when everything completely fell apart. You go A.J. Dillon. That's the biggest reach. One of the bigger reaches of this entire draft, especially he's like the 8th running back on your board, right? He's going to be the type of guy like Derrick Henry, a bell cow back. Except that's not what the Green Bay Packers do. Right now, they have Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams. This guy might not even make the team right now. They have 3 other running backs. I think he's going to make the team, except he's not going to turn into the player the Packers are envisioning. They're clearly trying to move into a new offense, which leads me back to the next pick. They're trying to run the Shanahan offense, which is why they draft Josiah DeGuara in the 3rd round. Except this guy is going to be playing in the Kyle Jukuziak role, which is a fullback. They drafted a fullback in the 3rd round. How do you explain that? That's completely unacceptable.
That's the maybe the worst pick in the draft, especially since they needed a wide receiver. It made no sense. It just was not a great
Speaking about day 3, I don't even want to get started on this. Kamal Martin, number 5. He's going to be exactly what you lost in Blake Martinez, except Blake Martinez is getting hated on by the entire Packers fan base because he's just straight up trash. And then next we have the 3 O-linemen.
Right.
3 O-linemen. You don't need O-linemen right now. Right now, you need wide receivers, and I can't believe they didn't take a single pick to address the wide receiver need. Instead, they took 3 O-linemen back to back to back. 2 of these guys aren't going to make the team. They have 15 O-linemen on their roster right now. And then your 7th round pick, Jonathan Garvin. You should at least try to get a wide receiver in the 7th pick. But you've already spent so much capital on the edge, including a 1st round pick and Rashawn Gary, not to mention the great years that Preston and Zadarius Smith have had in 2019. Instead, you get a player from Miami who's not even going to make the roster.
Great analysis there from George. Heated, but overall, really great job there. Minnesota Vikings, all A's except for 1. Mark, you gave him a B. Again, Mark, what is up with you and contradicting everything we've been saying? It's like you're doing this on purpose.
Ethan.
Nah, it's like you're doing it on purpose.
No, maybe. No, I'm just kidding. But
all right.
Yeah, they did have a very good draft, and many points of need they acknowledged, especially with the Justin Jefferson pick in the 1st rounds to replace Stephon Diggs. And I think I'm going to change my pick to an A. You're right.
Pick to an A. There you go. Woo! He finally doesn't contradict. All right. Overall, we all think it's a pretty good draft. They had so much draft capital. It's insane. What did they have? A good 14, I think? 14, 15 picks? Yeah, they got all their needs.
15.
They're going to be a good team next year. All right, let's go to the next one.
Not enough to secure the North, though.
Chicago Bears. All right, George. All right. Overall, a C. Chicago Bears organization. It hasn't been the best in the last couple of years. Some B's, some C's, some D's. George with the D. Would you do that? Why'd you do that one?
Okay, from top to bottom, this was just a bad draft overall. I may be slightly biased because I'm a Packers
Slight?
fan, but here's the thing: you can't go and draft Cole Kmet, number 43 overall. This was a very weak tight end draft.
I like Cole
And
Kmet.
Yeah,
I think
they
Cole
have
Kmet's a good
10
pick.
tight ends on their roster.
You don't
10
need Cole
tight
Kmet.
ends on their roster. Listen to this.
Kmet's
They
the
have
best
10
tight end
tight
in the
ends
draft.
on their roster. Cole Kmet may have been the best tight end in the draft, but that's still unacceptable for going 43 overall, especially when you just paid $10 million a year to Jimmy Graham and signed 9 other tight ends besides that. Second, the only reason this was not an F for me was their second round pick in Jalen Johnson. I feel like he was a good pickup, but the rest of the draft was just unacceptable. You go wide receiver, who is Darnell Mooney anyway? You have KJ Hill available, and instead of going him, you go Darnell Mooney, who I don't think is just going to be another bust like all their wide receivers they've drafted over the years.
All right. Well, I think, the Bears aren't going to be good for a bunch of years. They're rebuilding. It's going to take 3, maybe 4 years.
I mean, they
It's
need a
just,
new
this
quarterback.
is not a great organization. Yeah,
Mitch-
they need
a new
everything.
quarterback. Trubisky isn't
They
good.
tried to lay the groundwork, but, what are you going to do when you have absolutely nothing? They need every single position. They don't have anything. So let's just move on.
I say Cole Kmet's going to be the starting tight end of the Bears.
They have so
Okay.
many tight ends. You
Graham, who
never
they
know.
paid $10 million to.
All right, Lions. The Lions, they've had a tough couple of years. By a couple of years, I mean the entire decade. I hate Matt Patricia, honestly. I don't think he's a good coach.
Era.
But they had a pretty effective draft. The entire Super Bowl era, yeah. But they had a pretty effective draft, especially with no reaches at the number 3. They could really have put a Lions there and drafted somebody else other than Okuda. But they really showed up their secondary, and with DeAndre Swift, one of the best running back, if not the best running back in the draft. He's a great pick to complement Kerryon Johnson. And down the line, just some great guys to make some more players, some secondary help. Not secondary help. Some rush help, defensively, some D-line help. And they overall got some good special teams players later in the draft. I think it was a pretty effective draft for what they had.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. They basically hit everything they needed to. I mean, I would have liked them to maybe try for maybe a Jake Fromm or Jacob Eason in the 3rd or 4th round, but I think I like the DeAndre Swift pick especially. I think he's going to complement well with Kerryon Johnson.
I really like the Julian Aquara pick because Romeo Aquara is already on the Lions, and now they have a linebacker duo that will work well together, most likely.
Mini Patriots.
Yeah.
All right, next one. The NFC South, next division. Carolina Panthers, another team that's going to be rebuilding for the next couple of years. They don't really have a defense, and I graded a B because that's really what they went after. Derek Brown, really great player in the first round. They went Yetur Gross-Matos, is one of my highest defensive ends. That's a great value for pick number 38. He's a really good player, and they really went down the line. And now that I'm looking at it, every single pick was defense, and that's really what the Panthers needed. Anybody else?
Yeah, so
Sure.
The reason I gave it a C was because I think they should have addressed linebacker here. They didn't pick any linebackers. With their 2nd round pick, Jeremy Chin, I think they should have gone Logan Wilson. He fell to the 3rd round. I think that he would have been maybe a better pick than a safety. I think they should have gone linebacker.
I disagree
He's
with
gonna
you.
replace
Jeremy
Kuechly.
Chin is going to be kind of like an Isaiah Simmons type of player. He's
You
going to be
compare
all over
everyone
the
to
field.
Isaiah Simmons, George. Like literally every
Compare
single
two
player.
other people to Isaiah Simmons, Muse and Chin. These two guys are basically – this guy is going to be all over the field for you. He can play a variety of positions and will be dominant on this defense.
All right, next, Tampa Bay Bucks. This is arguably the best team in the league right now. They stocked up. They have the best defense, the best offense in recent memory. So their draft, I gave it an A. Mainly for the first pick, Tristan Wirfs. Really got to protect Brady, their 42-year-old. It's a good pick, and other than that, they just shored up every other position on defense. They have an effective defense, an effective offense. This team is going to get it done this year.
Yeah, I'm in love with this offense right now. Tristan Wirfs, maybe my number one offensive lineman, and you get him number 13 after 3 other O linemen have gone. That's a steal for me. Even though they traded up one spot to do it, I think it was the right thing to do. Also, Keyshawn Vaughn, I believe he's going to be a good pick too. Also, Tyler Johnson, he's one of my favorite wide receivers coming to this draft. He reminds me of Brandon Ayuk. He's going to go down the field and he's going to catch those contested balls.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think the Buccaneers really helped out Brady here for how many other years they're going to have him. I think they just had a really solid draft.
All right, next.
Brady's trash.
Okay. All right. New Orleans Saints. This team, this has been one of the best organizations in recent years, but overall, I didn't really like this draft that much.
With a
Let me
solid
find it.
4
They didn't have
picks.
much capital either.
Yeah, they had 4 picks. There's not much you can do there. I couldn't give it anything other than an average grade. Zach Bond, I really like the value there in 3rd round, but what can you do with 4 picks,
I feel like the Saints, what they're missing from reaching the Super Bowl is that I feel like they're missing that one piece, maybe that one receiver that complements Michael Thomas.
I think that's what they're getting in Emmanuel Sanders. That's why I think it was smart to go Cesar Ruiz. He's one of my favorite picks of this draft, actually, because he's going to be a future Pro Bowler. Zach Bond, great value. I thought he was going to go in the 1st round to either Tennessee or the Seahawks. Instead, he goes in the 3rd round, which is a steal for me. Adam Trotman, even though he comes from a small school, Daytona, I feel like he has potential to become something like a Travis Kelce.
That school is
All right,
Dayton,
next.
but
Dayton.
Falcons. Oh, shoot. Okay. Falcons. It's kind of all staying around the C, D mark. Luke gave it a B. Why is that?
I feel like they did a fairly good job of addressing their needs, especially with about an average draft capital. They really did a decent job, not outstanding. They got their wide receiver, which is what they really needed. So,
Did they?
No, they
I don't
didn't
think they
draft
got a wide receiver.
oh, they didn't.
No,
They
they
did
already
not get a
have
wide
2
receiver.
great wide receivers in Julio.
Yeah, they didn't
and-
need a wide
Yeah, they
receiver.
don't need
That's
wide
the last
receivers.
thing they needed.
questionable pick.
They got some line help and some secondary help. And
they reached
my
for AJ
favorite pick of the
Terrell.
draft, Sterling Hoffrichter, punter from Syracuse. This guy, he's going to come in and he's really going to help the Falcons out. He's going to, I don't
most
want to
of
get anybody too excited here, but I'm thinking Hall of
I
Fame
bet.
caliber player.
Hall of Fame. Johnny
Hall of
Hekker.
Fame. Dude,
JK
this is my first Hall of Fame player I've ever said coming out of a draft. Hoffrichter.
First and only.
That's all I'm gonna say about him. You'll have to see. You'll have to tune in to some games and really see the brilliance at work.
Holder's the most
Los
important
Angeles
position.
Rams, staying around the BC area. This organization has been really hard to read at times. make the Super Bowl, don't make the playoffs next year. Have Jared Goff has a MVP, not an MVP year, but a great year, terrible year, off on, off on, off on. What can you really say about them? They're got okay help. They didn't have a first rounder, but it was an average draft. It was an average draft. Nothing that great.
What is the deal with taking kickers?
Sam Sloman, Miami, Ohio. I don't really know him that well, but they do need a kicker. So if he can give them a couple good years or a couple good games at least, it would really help them out.
Next up, we have the Seattle Seahawks. Ryan, you gave them an A.
I did.
Hold on. Let's rewind it for a minute. George, what was that about?
You didn't talk, so I had to talk.
Okay. All right. Seattle Seahawks. Ryan, you gave them an A. What's that about?
Their first pick wasn't the best, but I feel like overall they really addressed the needs they needed to get, and I think it's a pretty good draft for the Seahawks.
I gave them
Patrick Queen was still on the board, right?
Yeah.
So
I
probably better pick.
I gave him a D,
heavily.
which was the worst. Yeah, you go.
They reached heavily
I gave
for
him a
Jordan
D.
Brooks.
Yeah.
Should have gone Patrick Queen.
So I gave him a D because Jordan Brooks is one of my least favorite picks of this draft. When you have Patrick Queen on there, who has that kind of talent, I don't see how you can go around him. I don't see how you can decide to draft anybody else, especially at the same exact position. I just don't understand it. They got some other help through, but, if you mess up that, I think it's a huge mess up. I think they'll regret that in the next couple of years, especially when they don't find another good inside linebacker and they struggle in that position for the next couple of years.
Brooks will really complement KJ Wright and Bobby Wagner in a linebacker position in Seattle.
I don't like them taking Brooks. They should not have passed on Gross Matos because, Mark, what do you know about Gross Matos being a Penn State fan?
Yeah, he's a great leader. He fights all the time. Like, he really plays super hard. He's a great he's really aggressive towards the quarterback. He can get in your face and great leader. Yeah, they definitely had a mistake there.
Yeah, especially with Clowney being gone.
Clowney, yeah.
All right, let's move on. Arizona Cardinals. I've been saying it for a while. This is the team that I think is going to really surprise this year. They have a really good core, and they built it up really with Isaiah Simmons, my favorite linebacker of the draft, one of my favorite players of the draft. What?
Let's let George talk about his favorite player by far.
Yeah. So I really like him. He's fast. He can cover. He can really get in and off the quarterback. He can cover the run. He can do everything. Josh Jones really
Josh
protect
Jones
their
deal. I love that pick.
Yeah, he really helps protect Kyler Murray, who's their entire franchise is Kyler Murray. And I think Kyler Murray's going to have an insane year. I think he's going to have an MVP caliber year.
Ethan, like I said, the Cardinals in this upcoming season are going to be like last year's Browns.
Josh Jones, really safe pick.
I disagree.
All this hype around them, and they're just going to utterly fail. One of the hardest divisions in the NFL, NFC West.
No, you're wrong.
No,
they're going to be
Rams are better
last
than
year's
them.
Ravens.
So Seahawks
they're
are
going to be a
better
great team.
They're going to be the Browns.
Let's move on.
Last year's Ravens.
They're going to be the Browns.
They had a solid draft overall. Simmons and Jones is just a great duo, especially since Jones could have won in the first round.
Their team's not good enough. They're going to be the Browns.
Their team's not good enough. Like, they just just have a bunch of star power. You don't know how they're going to gel together. And I think they're just going to, they're going to be the Browns. They're going to be the last
sure,
year's
they had
Browns.
a great draft, but it doesn't make their team better.
Okay.
We started with a big discussion, And if I'm not wrong, this is the last hit team, correct, Ryan?
There's one
We have
more.
one more.
49ers.
49ers.
We have one more, I'm sorry. 49ers. How can I forget about them? 49ers, let's go to Mark again with your C grade. What
Yeah.
do you think about this one?
So I think, especially after they went to the Super Bowl, they didn't do a whole ton in the draft. I think pretty average drafts for what we've seen, and yeah, that's
I
what
think
I'm
this was
thinking.
an amazing draft by the 49ers. First of all,
Rishi
you
throwing out A's left and right. My God.
take
The
Javon
49ers,
Kinlaw.
too.
After you trade DeForest Buckner, you fill him in with Javon Kinlaw from South Carolina, and then later in the first round, you take Brandon Ayuk to just have another weapon with Jimmy G.
Shouldn't have traded up for Ayuk. That's
No,
a problem I
Ayuk's a
have
good
with this
player.
draft. They should not have traded up for Ayuk. You can get the same type of player in Jawan Jennings, your 7th round
No,
pick.
Ayuk was
He's going to be great too.
No, Ayuk was projected to go 2 or 3 picks ahead of where they drafted him. He fell like 1 or 2 picks. I think that he would have been gone if the 49ers
I say
didn't trade
Jawan
up for him.
Jennings and Brandon Ayuk have the same amount
First of all,
of impact.
you have a
as
controversial
the
quarterback
Super
in
Bowl
Jimmy Garoppolo. You need to surround him with the best
The
weapons
Shanahan
possible.
offense doesn't revolve around your quarterback. That's why it was so bad for the Packers to switch to this offense when they have
But still,
Aaron Rodgers.
you saw in the Super Bowl, the Chiefs basically, the 49ers run game was
Goff is
basically
not a
wasn't
good
there in the
quarterback.
Super Bowl.
Goff is not a good quarterback. Garoppolo is not a quarterback, but they're doing great and getting paid a lot of money.
Garoppolo's a good quarterback.
No,
That's how
Garoppolo can sometimes look like a pro
that type
player,
of
sometimes
offense
look
doesn't
like
need a
horrible
good quarterback. They could have anyone throw the ball down the middle.
No, you saw in the Super Bowl,
goes around a
Jimmy G
run
missed
game.
the biggest throw in the Super Bowl. Then the 49ers would have been within striking distance of the Chiefs. He missed that to Emmanuel Sanders. You need other wide receivers. This draft was pretty good by the 49ers.
All right, on that note, we're going to finish it off here. That's the last one, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So, to close this out, we created an Instagram recently, official_ELPS. That's going to be linked down in the description below. If you guys like what you see, like and subscribe.
Your grandma still
And if you guys have any questions for us or want to see something from us, we're really open to new ideas. And put in the comments about new segments you guys want to see, or just overall questions or comments you guys like.
Thanks for getting us 150 views.
Yeah, 175 views, 100 views on our second one so far.
Dang.
This has been really great, Again, really excited for the next episode. I think you guys will be really happy with it. And I think that's it for right now. I'm Ethan, host of the ELPS show. See you guys next episode.